Today on the Star Trek Critic, The Emissary, the plot, Worf gets laid. And guess who the lucky girl is? Yes! Check this out. Riker brags about the size of Worf's pile. Why are they letting Geordi back into the game? Didn't he confess last week that he can tell when a human is lying? As you can see, Deanna wasn't invited because she can read all their minds. Here's Data's weakness. He can naturally count the cards, but he's not really good at the bluffing part. The first point of the show is lost here in the placement of the chips. Riker pours them on. Pulaski puts stacks of chips in. Worf puts 2 more stacks in, but when Kate puts in her last 50, all the stacks are gone. In today's episode, Geordi says every word 3 times in a row. Kate makes her move on Worf. I'm telling you, they did the nasty in season 2. Nagila wanted to watch them have sex, and then they had the tea ceremony where Worf read her love poetry. If Dr. Pulaski stayed on for season 3, they would have taken the oath. Worf cleans house and takes all of Kate's chips. This is symbolic of her paying him for the services of, reading Klingon love poetry. That's what it's called these days. Ironically, Data will be called an Iceman in just a few years. And Worf did it without smiling. Data becomes the dealer and says every card in the deck is wild. Only Riker gets called to the bridge, but they all run out. I can't really take a point for that, so I'll take a point for the single set of doors on the turbolift instead, like I always do. Seriously, the next generation must hold the record for cheesy, corny, cliched lines all the way through the series. They're now heading to the Beretta system. Look closely. They mention colonization 3 times. Remember, every time you mention colonization, a woke liberal has an emotional meltdown. Yeah! Actually, that's really not a bad thing. They better look out. In a few years, even the Indians colonize a planet that doesn't belong to them. That's gonna kill those liberals. This is Admiral Gromik in the 4th design of an Admiral's uniform. Of course, that just means Admirals can do whatever they want. 1 point is lost here. The Admiral would have briefed Picard on a secure line privately in his ready room. Face it, if we don't have a secure internet 300 years in the future, we are screwed. -1 point for Diana Muldaur not being listed as a regular. -1 point for opening credits 7 minutes into the show. -1 point for Wesley not being in the show. -1 point for black squares on the back panels. A Class 8 probe would not be able to travel at 800 times the speed of light, so -1 more point. Riker says, what lies ahead? Data says, empty space. But then Data says there are 4 colonies and 9 outposts. If Starfleet has 13 bases in this area, they will have at least 1 patrol ship in the area. But they don't, so -1 point. If you tell 2 cars traveling side by side to go exactly 60 miles per hour, they will still go up different speeds since they don't have the same odometer. At 800 times the speed of light, there is no way anything is going to go at the same speed as the other, making this impossible, so -1 point. Here's another naval gone spaceship cliche, which really means just keep going. -1 point for resuming original course and speed when you know your special envoy's got a secret mission for you. Now we meet K'Ehleyr. Yes!
I greet you. I am K'Ehleyr.
She's only been on the Enterprise for 10 seconds and Riker is already making his move on a Klingon woman. He's such a pervert. Pulaski is wondering, Dr. Solar, how did you go from being my Vulcan doctor to a Klingon ambassador? And she says, it's because I'm a Q and I can do anything I want. The tricorder should know it's reading a Klingon-human combination. Maybe Dr. Pulaski just wanted to hear K'Ehleyr say to verify. Worf is incredibly happy to see K'Ehleyr again. He's currently thinking, that probe was a total waste of tax money. She could have just done this by video chat. Riker stands right behind Picard because he's a total ass-kisser. The Tong is a Klingon ship. The crew has been frozen for 75 years. 1 point is lost since there's no explanation as to why. K'Ehleyr's advice is a waste. She just says destroy the ship. And then she says Worf has a fatalistic Klingon view, but Starfleet technology has advanced enough where they should be able to disable the ship easily and solve the problem that way. This is the 5th time the word colonies has been mentioned, so it's time for an emotional meltdown drink. K'Ehleyr must not like her Klingon heritage. All the way through the briefing she just says, kill, kill, kill. Worf says, Captain Picard, I'm afraid of K'Ehleyr. She bites. Picard says, Worf, K'Ehleyr could have told us all this over a video chat, but she wasted valuable taxpayer money to come here by probe just to see you. I suggest you read her love poetry and duck a lot. For having such beautiful women on the show, they really dress them horribly. K'Ehleyr has human humor. Another point lost since there's no way K'Ehleyr packed 3 outfits in her warp speed coffin. K'Ehleyr bites! Yes! Again, K'Ehleyr accuses Worf of Klingon fatalism, but she's the one who wants to destroy the ship. Worf raises the stakes, just like the poker game. He knows he is going to win. However, the purpose of this scene is simply to have a Klingon lovers quarrel, not solve the frozen ship problem. When the extra cross is he checking her out, or is he thinking, Dr. Solar, you've changed? K'Ehleyr practices her karate. Didn't Deanna ask, did the table do something wrong? Or is that another table in another show that gets smashed? Deanna actually offers decent advice for stress relief. Incredible. K'Ehleyr takes Deanna's advice. Usually they tell Troy to go mind her own business and then talk to Guinan instead. This is a first. The audio is muted, but one point is lost as it highlights Worf's exercise program before she tells it to stop. Meanwhile, on the bridge, Worf is having the DSBs, also known as the deadly sperm buildup, and this is the second time in one show he's been called the Iceman. Jean-Luc performs the Picard maneuver. 1 point is lost for a visible stunt double. She's only in there for like split seconds though. Now Worf comes in, and this is known as Klingon foreplay. They'll be reading poetry and throwing chairs later. This monster topples over when he's stabbed, but the other monster disappears. Throwing furniture and reading love poetry sounds so much better than what they're doing. They're just sniffing each other, and that's weird. This has gotta hurt. I would say they're fisting each other, but I think that means something different. Terrible small talk is the Klingon way of smoking a cigarette after sex. She does have a really bad sense of humor. So does Klingon culture say you have to get married after doing the nasty just once? That means they must hold off quite a bit. No wonder they're always so agitated and want to fight. Now we know why K'Ehleyr hates Klingon tradition. Wait a second, isn't he the sandwich-eating guy from Outsourced? Worf asks Commander Data to join him and K'Ehleyr for a threesome. That explains why they didn't come up with any solutions to their problem. The solution is to keep the crew frozen, but they're already too late for that. Deanna still thinks the Klingons are explorers. In reality, she just wants Worf to explore her. K'Ehleyr says, Deanna, you don't know shit about Klingons, do you? Listen closely. Data says the Klingons are at extreme sensor range. There is no way you can lock phasers at extreme sensor range, so minus 1 point. Worf is thinking, Riker's always standing right behind Picard. What an ass kisser. 1 point is lost. The Klingons would not fire from extreme sensor range. They're light years away. Minus 1 point for transferring engineering to bridge. He needs to be in engineering, yelling at his crew. K'Ehleyr wants them to die honorably, but in reality, she just wants to kill, kill, kill. Worf's thinking, hey, this is just like the poker game at the beginning of the show. I have the perfect final challenge. The next point is lost for playing cat and mouse at warp speed. At warp 3, you would fly through our solar system in just like 10 minutes. The three amigos have discovered Klingons have taken over the flagship of the Federation. But why does K'Ehleyr yield command? Worf really does know how to handle Klingons. He'll do good on a place like Deep Space Nine. Minus 1 point. K'Ehleyr is not going to take command of the Tong, she's just going to help them adjust. Then Worf screws up the whole thing. They're like, the 24th century? That's a Federation calendar. We've been betrayed. Okay, it really didn't end that way. Worf hands the car keys back to his dad and the little ass kisser that's standing right behind him. However, this is not Worf's first command. He was in charge of the saucer section during the pilot, so minus 1 point. This is Worf's way of saying, I'll be back. K'Eleyr's going to assimilate those frozen Klingons because secretly she's a Borg. This is Worf's way of asking for a kiss. K'Eleyr's like, Worf, that's sexual harassment, shame on you. Then they argue whether love and honor are the same thing. They shake hands one more time, and then this is Worf's way of saying the sex was really good. While she disappears, Worf is thinking, wait, is it safe to transport while you're pregnant? So who were the frozen Klingons? This is the second of 2 shows for Anne Ramsey. She was also on Planet of the Apes, A League of Their Own, and The Secret Life of the American Teenager. This is one of the first of Dietrich Bader's over 200 screen credits, being a voice in almost every animated show around. He was also on The Drew Carey Show and Bones. Georgia Ann Johnson has 120 screen credits, including Midnight Cowboy, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and the soap opera Somerset. Lance Legault started as a stand-in for Elvis with 100 screen credits, including Battlestar Galactica, Logan's Run, The Hulk, and Wonder Woman. And Susie Claxton will be back in a couple years, but you can also see her on Love and War and Mad About You. The moral of this show, Worf aced 2 queens. Yeah! The Emissary, where old school Klingons meet new school Klingons, and Worf gets laid, gets a score of 78%. Yeehaw! Thanks for viewing. Please leave comments below, click that like button, the share button, that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.